What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Quality Ball with JT Aubrey and Philip Fauntleroy. Today we're going to be talking more basketball. The Lakers just drafted Lonzo Ball. I'm very stoked about that, and we have a lot to talk about with the NBA draft just happening a couple days ago. So Phil, I know you didn't want him, but Lonzo Ball, baby, I'm pretty stoked, to be honest. LeVar Ball talked it into existence, and I couldn't be happier. Lonzo he's the full package. He can see the floor. He's a great passer. He can shoot the three ball. He just needs to learn to play some defense, and he's going to bring a leadership mentality to that young Lakers team, which I think is really going to help them, especially with Brandon Ingram developing. I'm really excited. What are your thoughts on this on the pickup? I know you were more excited on De'Aaron Fox, so I want to hear your opinion now that we've officially drafted Lonzo and LeVar. I think I'm just as excited about having LeVar as I am Lonzo. I don't know why. I really like him a lot. So, what are your thoughts? Let's hear it.
Well, first of all, I don't want a dad running one of my players. I don't want him telling what to do and stirring up all the media for my team, which makes me very upset. And when you say Lonzo Ball is the complete package, usually when someone says they're the complete package, it insinuates they can play defense, and he's a pretty bad defensive player, and his footwork is very sloppy, and that makes me very upset because every Lakers fan knew that we needed a great defender, and Magic Johnson went ahead and said that D'Angelo Russell wasn't the leader that he wanted. Who says that Lonzo Ball is?
He wasn't. He was a snitch. He was a snitch who caused team turmoil.
He was
and I'm glad that
But Lonzo Ball is getting controlled by his dad. So how can you be a leader when your dad's controlling what you do? What's going through Magic's head? And Magic went.
LeVar Ball is the biggest Laker fan on the planet, so that might not be a bad thing.
Well, in a press conference, with Lonzo Ball, Magic Johnson was like, "Don't break all my records. Just let me keep some." Who says that he'll live up to Magic's expectation? He's not as athletic as Magic Johnson, which is a huge aspect in the game today in the NBA.
Who's more athletic, Lonzo Ball or Steph Curry?
Lonzo Ball, probably. I mean,
that's right. Honestly, so it doesn't matter.
That one's close, honestly.
But that's what I'm saying. Athleticism isn't everything.
Steph Curry can also play defense. He's on one of the greatest defensive teams in NBA history.
Yeah, I know, but he's okay. Well, let's not get too far off topic here.
The Lakers cannot play defense, and they needed to go get a defensive player, which they did. Let's speaking of defensive players, let's talk a little more Lakers here. So Lonzo Ball, clearly number 2 overall. Number 27, they picked up Kyle Kuzma. We acquired him from the Nets. I like this kid. I know you've been doing a lot of research on this kid. You've been watching him play. You watched him all last year. Give me a little insight on this guy. What do you think? He was a Pac-12 first all-team. He was first all-team, and
all-team defense.
He was all-team defense, and he was just first all-team offense as well. And he was Utah. He played for the Utah Utes. He was a power forward. He's about 6'10", 223 pounds, and he can do everything. Except the only small criticism I have for him is he's just not the freak athlete that this NBA draft held this year. But he can shoot the three-pointer. He shot 32% from the three-pointer his last season. In his last 10 games in his season, he shot 40%. So who doesn't want a power forward on their team that can shoot the three ball?
Let's just hope he's not another Ryan Kelly. If we get another one of those, I might have to stop watching basketball. That was kind of hard to watch. But
definitely. But the Lakers also needed a huge rebounder, and in every single game, he averaged about 3.6 offensive rebounds a game. That's a good amount. And
he averaged 16 points and 9 rebounds last year, so he's looking very promising. And speaking of rebounder, Thomas Bryant, 6'11" center out of Indiana. Jazz actually picked him up 42nd, instantly traded him over to the Lakers. He's a 6'11" center. He can shoot the three ball. So I'm really excited for this. We've got Magic's making moves. I like the kid a lot. I see a lot of upside. What are your thoughts on this kid? Let me hear it.
So the one thing I like about Thomas Bryant is He kind of reminds me of DeMarcus Cousins. He's got a 7'6" wingspan. So the way he beats everyone in the post is he just reaches higher than them and banks it high off the glass, and he can shoot 3-pointers, and he can run in transition, which is great having a player who we just drafted who's very unselfish with the ball and mediocrely athletic. And he also plays really hard, and he's just a great paint player. And he's a great defender, which is what we needed. He averaged 1.5 blocks a game last season, which I don't know about you, but I think that's a good amount of blocks to have on a team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, go ahead.
So I really think that he's going to be a big addition, especially because he can shoot the 3-ball the way the Warriors have changed the game in today's NBA.
So moving on, Lakers picked up Josh Hart with their 30th pick. He's the shooting guard out of Villanova. I did some research on this kid. He's got a very high basketball IQ, which I really like. Smart players, I feel like, make their team better, not just themselves. So I'm really looking forward to what this kid can do for us. He averaged 13.3 points and 5.6 boards during his tenure at Villanova. So I'm really excited. I know you kept up with this kid for the last 3 years, or he's for the last 4 even. So give me a little give me some of your thoughts on this kid. What do you think?
Well, you were talking about his career at Villanova, and last year he had an amazing year. He averaged 18.7 points per game. He shot 40% from the 3-point line and shot 51% from the field goal, while also
even better,
averaging 6.4 rebounds a game as a shooting guard. So
the kid's a stud. The kid's a stud.
He's really an all-around great player, but the main problem he has is that he's not spectacular at any one of those traits. He's just like medium at everything. He's just a balanced player. Is how I would describe
he's a jack. He's a jack of all trades, except
yeah,
he's not right.
And he also isn't a crazy explosive leaper. He's not a freak athlete, but his IQ does make up for him being an excellent defender. Last year, he averaged 1.6 steals per game, which is a good amount of steals.
Right,
so he hawks the ball, and he's ready to pounce on that ball when someone throws it.
And basketball IQ is just as important, if not much more important, than athleticism, ball handling, etc. You can work on all that. You can't work on basketball IQ. That comes naturally, and that's why I'm so stoked to have this kid. LeVar said it. I'm saying it too. Lakers are making the playoffs next year. And I'm really looking forward to this, to be honest, especially after this last year, which was a little disappointing. D'Angelo Russell played well, Brandon Ingram played well, but not really. We didn't really see what we hoped we would see. So I think this year is going to be the difference. And so moving on, we're going to stay in California. Something needs to come up here that I need to talk about. I was reading an article the other day. Can the comparisons between Steph Curry and Kevin Durant versus the Shaq and Kobe, Pippen and Jordan, can we put these best duo of all time? Can we put the debate to bed? Because it's starting to get out of hand. Durant and Curry are great, by all means, but they are nowhere near the best duo of all time. And when I see some of these people talking to me how Durant can do this, Curry can do that, it's like no one we've ever seen. Yeah, maybe we haven't seen players like them, but there's no chance that they're a better duo than Magic and Kareem, Shaq and Kobe, Pippen and Jordan. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's starting to get out of hand. And how do these comparisons make you feel? I mean, it makes me a little sick to my stomach. It's a little disrespectful, if you ask me. So, what do you think?
As a Lakers fan, the comparisons definitely are disrespectful. But the main thing I have to say about these comparisons that I just don't understand why Chad Ford and other sports analysts decide to write about is the Warriors aren't really a big two. The Warriors are a big four. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson are sensational players. The Lakers did not have a Draymond Green and Klay Thompson on their team.
Iggy's an ex-All-Star. Andre Iguodala is an ex-All-Star. So
yeah, Andre Iguodala has been a sixth man of the year before. He was an All-Star on the 76ers. a
People
great
forget.
player.
People forget how good he was on the 76ers.
Yeah, definitely, and the Nuggets. He had
And the
great years on the
Nuggets.
Nuggets as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, some phenomenal years.
And
So
but Michael Jordan did have like Horace Grant and he did have Dennis Rodman, so the comparison can come close. But Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen definitely are overall better players all around. Steph Curry's not a sensational defender, and he doesn't put up crazy steal numbers or block numbers like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen both did.
didn't he lead the league? Didn't he lead the league in steals
Who?
last year? Didn't Steph lead the league in steals last year or 2 years ago? I know he was up there. Regardless, the debate.
Anyways, so he also is playing on one of the greatest teams who's forcing those terrible passes, so they could just be throwing the ball right at his hand.
And let's move into that topic here. Are the Warriors the greatest team ever assembled? Yes or no?
I'd say no, because the only thing that really bothers me, and I'm sure it bothers all sports fans, is it's really hypothetical, because Michael Jordan played in a way different game than Steph Curry.
Right. The
Steph
game was
Curry
exactly.
Will pull up for three every shot. Back then, no one shot the three-pointer. Michael Jordan averaged 32% from the three-pointer.
Jordan would be shooting 35 free throws a game in today's game.
In his career, but someone like Steph Curry, if he's going to the rack back then when he was playing if he was playing back when the Chicago Bulls,
he's getting hammered. He's getting hammered
the
hard.
equivalent of what a flagrant foul is every single day. And Steph Curry can complain about a lot of fouls pretty often. So I don't know if he'd be able to take the psychological aspect of the game.
Right. Well, if we're looking at this from a pure skill standpoint, I think that this Warriors team, I think they've got to be the greatest team ever assembled. I mean, you've got not just 4 stars, but you've got 4, arguably 3 superstars in Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Draymond Green has been a superstar these last couple years. I know people aren't too big on him. His attitude's a little iffy, but and don't sleep on Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is a probably top 3 shooter of all time. Or top 5. We just don't give him the respect he deserves because he's playing alongside Steph Curry, who's the greatest shooter of all time. Agree. So, and then you've got Kevin Durant, who, I mean, he's lighting it up too. I don't know. I think
I definitely agree with what you're saying, but Draymond Green also did have a horrendous NBA Finals. If we're going to talk about
he doesn't
being a superstar.
The thing with NBA Finals with this team is they don't all need to play well. And what last year in Game 7 he had a 37-point game, triple-double. So Draymond shows up.
The one thing I have to say about what you're saying is you're saying assembled, and yes, I definitely say the Warriors are the greatest team assembled. But I would not say the Warriors are the greatest team of all time. You could not put the Warriors. I could never bet against the guy
who never lost in the finals.
Who was forced to retire because he bet on himself. That's how confident he was, and he never went to a Game 7 because he'd always be hitting those clutch shots in Game 6. If you were the coach, you knew you were winning a championship when you went with Michael Jordan. I don't know how you can bet against that. He'd do everything he could. His first playoff game against the Celtics, they were swept, but in the 4th game, he put up 63 points. And this is a quote from Larry Bird. Michael Jordan is a god in disguise. And this is when Michael Jordan was really young, and this was before they acquired Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. This was when they were building their dynasty.
Right.
This is how you knew this man was the real deal.
Well, there's no doubt about it that Jordan's the greatest player of all time. I mean, it's not really close. The LeBron people can make their LeBron cases, and we will be talking about that later on. But Jordan's the GOAT, and I like you said, I can't bet a team against a team who never lost in the finals, went 6 for 6. So I think we just need to put this whole debate to rest. The Warriors are great. They're obviously a super team, probably the best team ever assembled. But I can't count the Bulls out. Anyway, let's move back.
And also,
go ahead.
And also, before the duo is like known as possibly one of the greatest in NBA history, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. you have to produce more than one championship ring. Are you
Right.
kidding me?
Right. Well,
How
they
is
went
it even up
they
for
went
debate
16
right
and
now?
1. They went 16 and 1. So,
They did go 16-1,
which is the best
but
playoff record of all time.
Statistically, they played. Every team they played was worse than Michael Jordan played in the year he beat the Sonics in the finals, because they faced Yusuf Nurkic got injured on the Trailblazers, and then they played the Jazz, and Gobert was running around injured, and George Hill got injured for 2 or 3 games, and then they played the Spurs, and we all know what happened there. So the real full team they played, healthy team, was the Cavs, and they played really well against them. And the Cavs did not play the Cavs game.
Wasn't that a shame that Kawhi going down, getting hurt game 1? Just what a shame.
It definitely was, after they were up 21 points, and who knows how that
they were
series
they were at 20, 25 I thought it was. Maybe 21.
Yeah, it was like 23 or
something
21.
Yeah, it was, I think it was something crazy like that.
It was like 21 points, and right when he went out, the Warriors went on like a 23 to like 7.
Right.
Like, it was just crazy to watch how fast the deficit just
evaporated.
ended.
I got you. So, let's stay on the topic of excuse me. Let's stay on the topic of stars here. We gonna have the awards coming out here. MVP, Most Improved, Defensive Player of the Year. Who's your MVP this last year?
My MVP is
one word. I want one name.
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. I don't think as much as he did, averaging a triple-double, taking his team to the playoffs by himself. I mean, being that unbelievable player that he is, I still can't give it to him, because I don't think he has what it takes to lead a team to a championship, regardless of who you put around him, because of the way he plays. I've got James Harden as the MVP, and that's because he's more reliable. He's a better shooter.
You're just sounding really stupid, because James Harden had the worst Game 6 I have ever seen a superstar have in NBA history. Are you kidding me? I watched that guy throw away passes that I could make blindfolded.
And Russell Westbrook doesn't turn the ball over?
Okay, well, James Harden doesn't have to play 46 minutes a game. Russell Westbrook is gassed by the end of the fourth quarter. People were talking about how LeBron was tired in the finals. That's what Russell Westbrook's going through every game. He'd be up against the Rockets with 10 or 11 points. He'd come out for 2 minutes, and he'd come back in, and the Thunder would be down by 7 points, and the game would be over, just because the coach took him out.
But here's what gets me. When I need a W, and it's coming down the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game, who can I give the ball to and trust that they're going to make a play when I need them to, when the game's on the line? Because I don't think I can do that with Russell Westbrook. He's a wild card.
I agree with what you're saying. He did have the most clutch shots in the NBA season, but he did obviously take the most because he was their whole entire team. But if we're talking about clutch shots and MVP, I honestly believe that Russell Westbrook should get MVP because he broke that triple-double record and averaged a triple-double. But if you were to actually ask me who I honestly think should get it, I'd tell you Kawhi Leonard, because defense is so overlooked in today's NBA game. And if I'm giving an MVP a shot at the end, it's Kawhi Leonard, the people in the MVP candidate, definitely. We saw what he did against the Grizzlies.
Warriors.
He's a very clutch player, and he's only 25 years old right now. That man.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you can basically book this one. Kawhi Leonard's going to win the MVP award next year. If it's not Lonzo Ball, it's going to be Kawhi Leonard. So.
Or if it's not Russell Westbrook again, because he may not get someone like Blake Griffin or something.
Well, yeah, or Russell, but I don't see him going back to back. Especially, I don't see him averaging another triple double. That's.
Also, the one reason why I think he should get MVP is because everyone loves Kobe's work ethic, and say he has got one of the greatest work ethics in NBA history. Russell Westbrook reminds me a lot of Kobe Bryant. He wants to take that last shot every time. He's going hard 82 games a season. You know he's upset every time he loses. You can see it in his face. he gets really angry after his losses. I just respect him, other than people like Dwight Howard who just don't care if they lose.
Right. Well, there we go again, throwing shade at Dwight Howard for no reason. Anyway, let's move on. Defensive Player of the Year. So, Kawhi Leonard then? Is that who you think should win it?
Yeah, probably, because he's going
No
up
Draymond?
against-
What about Draymond?
Well, so the thing about Draymond is Draymond's got Klay Thompson next to him, and he's got Steph Curry, who may have averaged the most steals per game, like you said. And Klay Thompson, when Draymond's not guarding someone like Kevin Love, Klay Thompson's on him. Draymond's not necessarily guarding the best player every game. Kawhi is usually.
Here's my thing. Draymond Green is the most versatile player in the NBA outside of LeBron James. And he can guard any position, any player, any size. It doesn't matter. Kawhi Leonard being as great of a defender as he is, and he is probably the greatest on-ball defender in the league, can't match up with as many players as Draymond can match up with. And I think that's... And don't get me wrong, I love Kawhi Leonard. He's probably my favorite player in the league.
Who could Kawhi not guard? Who could Kawhi not guard that Draymond can't? Or that Draymond can?
Power
Kawhi could
forwards,
lock up Kevin Love.
centers.
Kawhi could lock up Kevin Love.
Kevin Love has gone from a 6... How tall is Kevin Love? 6'10"? 6'10",
6'11", yeah.
to whatever, 250 beast that he was in Minnesota. And Cleveland's cut him down to a 6'10", 210 3-point shooter. So you can't really make that comparison with Kevin Love. I could think of
Kawhi could guard LaMarcus Aldridge.
LaMarcus Aldridge is soft. Could Kawhi guard
Blake
Joel
Griffin.
could Kawhi guard Joel Embiid in the post?
No, I don't think so. But I don't think Draymond
And
could either because Joel
I do.
Embiid's so much bigger than Draymond. Joel has a wingspan way longer than his, and he could just jam all over him.
I mean, Joel can jam all over anyone. He's a freaking major.
Part of the stats why people think Draymond's so good is because he plays against power forwards who just fade away against him.
But you know what Draymond also does that Kawhi doesn't, and I really want to see a little more out of this from Kawhi. Everyone always praises Kawhi Leonard for being, and as they should, he's a very humble guy. I've heard only great things about him off the court, but he's not vocal enough on the offensively. There's only so much you can say. Defensively, Draymond Green's always he's talking to his team, he's directing his team,
and he's talking trash to the other
you go
team.
here, I go there,
definitely.
switch, blah blah. And I don't see that out of Kawhi Leonard yet. I think that's gonna come as he develops his game, as he matures in the league.
Well, Draymond is older.
Exactly, like you said, Kawhi's still young, but that's why especially this year, I think Draymond deserves it. Kawhi got it last year. I think it's Draymond's time. But
I honestly see what you're saying about that because Kawhi's kind of got like the father-son thing with Greg Popovich. If he's talking to someone on the court, it's usually Greg Popovich. Like, what am I doing?
Right,
he's not talking that much to his players. He's kind of just pretty quiet. And like even
Very
at the
quiet.
free throw line, he's not really talking like who's
Never.
that shooter and stuff like that.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens there. I'm pretty confident that.
But the argument that Kawhi should have is that Draymond is playing on arguably the best defensive team in NBA history. So.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, absolutely. But that's in a huge part because of Draymond. Like I said,
Definitely, but Klay Thompson
Draymond Green is the leader of that team. Don't be fooled by the star power of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Draymond Green is the leader of that team, and
I've been actually saying this for a while. If any player were to get injured and the Warriors were going to lose, it'd have to be Draymond because if Kevin Durant gets injured, then Steph and KD.
Well, look what happened last year. Look what happened last year.
Yeah, I know.
Draymond sits out one game and they spiral. There you go. So. Anyway, well, let's move on from that topic. I think Draymond. We'll see what happens.
in the Cavs series.
Let's move on to the Sixth Man of the Year award. Actually, no. Let's go most improved first. Who do you think's the most improved player this year? If Giannis, I don't know if we can say Giannis because I feel like we all kind of saw this coming. I mean, we've been saying it for the last 3 years. Like the kid's as far as being a athletic freak of nature, he's probably that to the highest extent, to the furthest extent we've ever seen in this league. I mean, he is a freak athlete, and he's improved exponentially. But I don't think he's most improved. I'm gonna say my name until after you're done. What do you think?
It's Jokic, Rudy Gobert, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And some people like to say that Rudy Gobert did way more for the Jazz than I honestly believe he did. I believe it was their coaching. Quinn is a great coach, and he's turned around that program.
Don't sleep on Gordon Hayward. You could throw his name in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
he had an unbelievable season.
They've got some great players, and their coaching is phenomenal now. So, yeah, I'm probably going to have to go with Giannis because what 6'11" player can play point guard and do it well?
Right, yeah, it's pretty tough. He does everything for his team. I mean,
and also Nikola Jokic, just because he wasn't very good last year, and now he has a very relevant name. That's the only reason why I don't think he's a phenomenal player by any means, but I think how much he's actually improved, like what the reward actually insinuates, is like that he's definitely improved. Like Rudy Gobert could only improve so much more. Giannis was already pretty solid last year, and Jokic was kind of just irrelevant, and now he's probably the best player on the Nuggets right now.
Here's my name for most improved this year. This is going to take a lot of people by surprise. Second year in the league, plays for the Phoenix Suns, dropped 70 points in a game. Goes by the name of Devin Booker. This man is icy. Reminds me a lot of Kobe. He said in many interviews that Kobe was his idol, and I love this kid. He has improved drastically from last year. He's a scorer, just a born scorer. Probably the purest scorer at his age, maybe outside of Jordan, that we've seen in a long time. So, I'm giving it to Booker. What do you think about that?
He's definitely a good scorer, and just like you said, a pure scorer. Magic Johnson's definitely up there. He won and the Finals MVP his rookie year, so you obviously got to put him in that debate. But yeah, Devin Booker, 72 points in a game. No one thought anyone would get close to Kobe's record after he did it, and he got so close. I definitely like the pick, but I'd still go with Giannis because Devin Booker didn't make the playoffs.
Well, Devin Booker's playing with a bunch of bums.
Giannis didn't,
and that's gonna
definitely. But Giannis's team is a very
athletic.
young team, and they're not
coach.
Spectacular in any way. Definitely. But I'm just saying they aren't a ridiculous team.
Let me throw out a couple numbers here.
A phenomenal
Devin
team.
Booker, 2015-2016 season, 13.8 points a game. Devin Booker, 2016-2017 season, 22.1 points per game. That's pretty drastic. And he's shooting 84% from the free throw line. He's shooting almost 48% from the field. This man deserves more recognition than he's getting. And I think he's getting a fair amount of recognition, but his name I haven't even heard come up in the most improved player of the year debate. So that's my pick. Probably not going to get it. Probably going to Giannis. I think Devin Booker should get it. Anyway.
Giannis, 7.8 rebounds per game and 17 points in his career. And last year, he had 8.9 and 8.9 rebounds and 23.2 points. I really think that's all that needs to be.
Well, don't get me wrong. Giannis is phenomenal. He's probably.
But he didn't increase a drastic amount, which most improved player is basically just how much did they increase. I mean, he only increased from 7.8 rebounds a game to 8.9, and from 17.2 points per game to 23.2. This is Giannis. They're not like crazy changes. You know what I mean? Like Devin Booker definitely had a significant change. 13 points to 22. Giannis only went from 17.2
So,
to 23.
case could be
That's
made for either
it's
one.
definitely not as significant.
Let's move on here. Let's go back into the draft here a little bit. Let's talk winners and losers of the draft. And I'm gonna kick things off with, again, trust the process. 76ers, Markelle Fultz. I think this is a win. I know they gave up a good amount to get this kid, but he is looking good. I know the Sixers are very, very hyped on him. The Sixers needed a guard who could play off the ball and who could play on the ball and who can shoot the three. And this is exactly what Markelle Fultz does. He can play off the ball. You're gonna have a 7-foot point guard in Ben Simmons, running the point, bringing the ball down. You're gonna have Markelle Fultz on the wing, shooting the three ball, and you're gonna have the process Joel Embiid down in the middle, putting in work. So I really like Markelle Fultz going to the Sixers. He's a playmaker. He can do it all. So I think they're the winner of this draft. This is the second year in a row where I think they've gotten the best player in the draft. So that's they're looking good for the upcoming years. And if they can just put this team together, if they can get a couple vets in there just to surround these young guys with a couple just for a couple years, just to teach them the ways, get them going a little bit. I could see the Philly making a few title runs at least a few. So we'll see what happens there. What do you think? What do you think? Big win, little win, or loss on the Markelle Fultz going to the Sixers? Was it the right pick?
It's definitely a win, but when you said he's the best player in the draft, I don't know if I agree with that. I disagree. He fits in the most with the 76ers, so that's why it's such a big win. They need a big scorer, and they need a player who can play both ways.
He's pretty
not
athletic.
A freak athlete by any means. Like at half court, one of his main negatives is at half court he's not freakishly quick, but they do have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who are already freak athletes.
And they've got Dario.
So they've already made up for the athleticism. So, and yeah,
he's
Dario
very solid though.
Kind of just like a fundamental player though, definitely. But yeah, definitely. But speaking of rookie of the year, but anyways. Markelle Fultz, he was definitely a big win for the 76ers, but like I said,
Fultz,
I don't know if he's going to be their point guard.
Simmons is running the point.
He's probably going to be their two guard. They also got on this Pasichnix, which was a pretty good pickup.
And TJ McConnell may be one of the more underrated players in the NBA. I mean, he's a scrappy, quality guard who doesn't get any recognition.
He's definitely the epitome of a point guard, a pass-first point guard. He's not too good of a scorer, but he is a great passer, definitely. I'd agree with that 100%.
And he's going to be a great backup. Might be a starter. Yeah.
Backup or starter, and Ben Simmons comes off the bench. Who knows, honestly. But wait one sec. To the process, I think that T.J. McConnell honestly might still start. Markelle Fultz comes in at shooting guard. Ben Simmons at small forward. Saric at power forward, and Joel Embiid at the 5.
And you know what? Let's talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid here for a quick sec. I was looking at a picture of him today, standing next to Kevin Garnett. The man dwarfs Kevin Garnett. He makes him look like a 12-year-old child. Joel Embiid is a big dude, and I'm really excited for this kid. I think he's going to be the best player in the league in 3 years. I mean, what did he shoot? I know he shot over 30% at least from 3-point this year, and he's got a silky stroke. He's working out with the dream, Hakeem Olajuwon. He's got all the tools. He's got a phenomenal post game, and he's a big dude, and he's strong.
And he's a great defender. But
he's a great defender.
The only problem with someone who's as big as him, we saw the problem with Shaquille O'Neal, and we saw the problem with Yao Ming. When they fall to the ground, it hurts them way worse than it hurt an average NBA player. So they're very injury prone. So if he can stay healthy,
assuming they stay healthy,
I definitely think he will be the best center in 3 or 4 years or so. I think you're saying the best player in the NBA. I did not agree with that in any way, considering you have Paul George and you have Kawhi Leonard, who I personally believe are the superstars who are going to take over this league.
Paul George.
Yeah.
As much as I love my Lakers, as much as I love Paul George is not going to take over this league.
Paul George is still very young.
Kawhi, he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
That's not that young.
Kawhi's 25.
Devin Booker's young. Andrew Wiggins is young.
Kawhi's 25.
Kawhi Leonard is I mean, they're young, but they're not young in the NBA. I mean, Paul George has been in the league for how many? He got drafted in what, 2010?
And he had that crazy injury, and now he's slowly starting to become himself.
I don't know.
Keep an eye on his
I don't know
numbers,
if Paul George. I don't know if Paul George can be everything he used to be after this. He snapped his leg in half.
He slowly is becoming better and better. That's all I had to say.
All right. Well, anyway, let's
see,
move
but
on.
Kawhi is definitely will be the number one player in 3 years. He and Damian Lillard also. Keep an eye on Damian Lillard.
Well, I agree to an extent. Damian Lillard. Let's stay on topic here. That's for another night. Damian Lillard's quality, but he's nothing to be looking out for. There's better guards in the league. Anyway.
Not at that age.
Winner, chicken dinner. Sacramento Kings picking up De'Aaron Fox. They're gonna pair him up with Buddy Hield. That's gonna be a pretty solid backcourt. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. I just hope De'Aaron Fox can fit into the league, and by that I mean come in and immediately make an impact. I don't want to have to wait a year for him to start producing. I want him to start producing today. I want him to start producing the second he walks on that court, and I know the Kings organization wants that the same. So, I think that the Kings made a great pick picking up De'Aaron Fox. What do you think?
He will always be, and he is my favorite draft of the NBA. He's my favorite pick in this draft because the only problem I can see is he's going to be great at driving to the rack, and he's going to be great defensively. He's going to be all around a great player, but his jumper just needs a little work, just like when John Wall came in the league, just like when LeBron came in the league, just like when Russell. So I think in about 2 or 3 years he'll be at his max potential, like his John Wall level potential. John Wall is not even at his max potential. He's still got to work a little more on his jumper.
Minimum of 3 years.
And John Wall himself said, I personally believe De'Aaron Fox is the best player in the NBA draft because he reminds me of myself. There may be some Kentucky bias right there, but I do believe that this kid has some crazy potential because the game is just turning into how athletic are you, and he is a freak.
Right. He's gonna be fun to watch. That's all I know.
He's just got to work on his jumper. That's really all he has to do, and get a little bigger.
Yeah, and he will. All those guys always come in a little skinny. They bulk up.
Definitely.
Let's go into the who I think.
But also Harrison Giles, who they just got.
Oh yeah, he's gonna. I really like that kid.
Out of Duke, yeah, they're actually saying he should have been a top 10 pick in this draft, but he just had knee surgery, and the fact that he's still top 15 shows you how good he is, kind of like Dennis Smith. So keep an eye out for that guy. I just wanted to add that his numbers are crazy. You can go check those out. He's gonna do big things if he doesn't get injured.
If he stays healthy, seems to be the.
Some people are saying he's the best draft in the NBA, in this draft. He's the sleeper.
Right.
Some people are saying that. I guess we'll see.
So, speaking of winners, Minnesota.
And they traded Zach Collins for Justin Jackson. I don't know how Justin Jackson will do, but he could be good.
Well,
anyways, what were you saying?
Let's move into Minnesota here.
Okay.
We have Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns, who is already the best center in the league. You know how I feel about Joel Embiid, but
this
last year, I think Karl Anthony Towns played better than Anthony Davis this last year. I mean, he wasn't injured.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be different if DeMarcus Cousins didn't come to the Pelicans, 100%.
Yeah. So Andrew Wiggins, who has been improving, I think people kind of overlook him. He's a great player, good defender, very good scorer, extremely athletic. Has a probably when we're talking potential, I mean, his ceiling is as high as anyone in the league.
Definitely, he is a he epitomizes an athlete as well. He reminds me of more like a Josh Jackson or more like a Jimmy Butler or something.
And then, like I was gonna say, and then they've just added Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know what they gave up? Nothing.
Nothing
They
whatsoever.
They sent Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and who I like. I like Zach LaVine. Tough seeing him go. I liked him with Wiggins, but it is what it is. And so Zach LaVine and draft rights to
Lauri Markkanen. I'm a little upset
about
that.
I'm looking at his name, and so for Jimmy Butler in the 16th pick, and this just takes us right into our next topic.
I am a little upset about that, but I am a little upset about them losing Lauri Markkanen because he would have fit in perfectly as power forward. But overall, it was a phenomenal trade for the Timberwolves, and the Bulls were a loser. And the Timberwolves got Justin Patton, who's a power forward, so he can replace Giorgio Deng. So they honestly got what they wanted, and they just got a little worse power forward than
right. As good of a move as this was for the Timberwolves, and this was the best move so far of the offseason by far. I think the Timberwolves are automatically in the playoffs, assuming they can work out their chemistry. Jimmy Butler's, you could say he's a pretty seasoned vet. Definitely has quality experience under his belt. Been to the playoffs. Just played with Dwayne Wade for a year, who's a 3-time champion, and now he's going to be giving his knowledge to Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. And you have 3 players who will all be all-stars next year. You can write that one down. They're all going to be all-stars, and they're making the playoffs. And they're not just making the playoffs. They're going to be right there in the mix. I mean, they're not going to be winning anything, but they're going to be in the mix. I could see them beating out Portland, Utah, Clippers. I could see them maybe as high as a 4th seed. As absurd as that sounds.
Well, I just realized that. Do you think Karl-Anthony Towns could run the power forward because they picked up Justin Patton, the center from Creighton?
Easily.
I think he may start at center. And do you think Karl-Anthony Towns could be moved to a power forward? Because I think that's what they may do.
Absolutely. You can move Karl-Anthony Towns to a 3. He would still be able to play.
I think that's what they're going to do, and they're going to replace their weakness, Giorgio Deng. And Zach LaVine did have upside, but he wasn't anything phenomenal, and he wasn't going to be one of the greatest players in the NBA or anything.
I agree.
And Chris Dunn had a very disappointing rookie season. Everyone was expecting way more out of him.
Very disappointing.
So why not trade him away and start building your team? And the fact that Jimmy Butler is with Tom Thibodeau.
Well, this team isn't
very awesome.
Let's not forget that the coach that Jimmy Butler has played for several years in the past had a great relationship. So let's move into Chicago.
Let's move into Chicago. And I actually read a quote the other day.
What the heck?
That made me laugh
what on
so
earth?
hard because it made me realize why Jimmy Butler wanted to get out to Chicago. He said, Jimmy Butler's agent said, or not his agent, sorry, his trainer. He said, I have met some drug dealers with better morals than the Chicago Bulls GM, and that really
maybe more brain cells too, because
that just really shows you that why Jimmy Butler wanted to get out of there and why the Chicago Bulls won't be a successful organization now. But drug dealers with better morals. How do you come by that?
I mean, it's hard to believe how this team went from in 2010, 2011, prime Derrick Rose. 67 wins, or was it 62 wins? I think it might have been 62. Regardless,
they were the 1 seed. They were the
1 seed with the prime, competing with a prime LeBron James.
They lost to the
Celtics,
big
big 3 in Miami, and now they're nowhere, and they've just traded away. And you've got Dwayne Wade making $20 million a year. Who's he going to play with? What the hell is he going to be doing now?
Well, you got. Also, you knew the Chicago Bulls organization was a little funky when they got rid of Tom Thibodeau. He had probably won 100 to 200 more games than he lost. I remember seeing his record and being like, wow, he was a really successful coach. Why do you fire him? And then they brought in Hoiberg, who hasn't done a sensational job. I mean, I just don't know what their organization's doing. I mean, it makes me shake my head.
I'm lost. Like I said, I'm lost for words. I don't understand they gave away their 16th pick too. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't process this in my head.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any other front office in the NBA ever making a move like this.
The only way it would have been a C trade is if they kept their 16th pick, but that wouldn't even have been a B or A trade. It still would have been like the letter grade
exactly.
C.
I mean, Jimmy Butler.
And right now they're looking at an F, definitely.
Oh, I think this could be one of the worst trades of all time.
It honestly could. I mean, Jimmy Butler
on a surface level, without knowing where the talent you've obtained, how they're going to pan out. If you just look at this trade on paper, this has to be one of the worst in NBA history. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just blowing this out of proportion. This is one of the worst trades I've ever seen in my entire life. This rivals Kwame Brown being traded for Pau Gasol. This is a bad trade, man.
Well, this also, it's like if Jimmy Butler was a veteran and he was slowing down like Dwayne Wade, yeah, sure. You can trade him because you want to rebuild your organization. But Jimmy Butler is 27 years old with
entering the prime of his career.
Yeah, just like he's like a Paul, like he and Paul George remind me a lot of each other.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like Jimmy Butler more than I like.
Jimmy Butler more than I like Paul George, definitely, because he's probably a way better defender, and his scoring is a little. Yeah, he needs to work on his shooting a little bit, his 3-pointer. But when he gets that, he's gonna be
and his mid range is unstoppable. And Jimmy Butler is very, very strong. I watched the man play in person.
He can play the 3, the 2. Honestly, maybe
he can play the 4.
Yeah, maybe the 4 because he can handle.
He's
people
6'8", man. He's big.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's that he's strong. He can back people up, and he can make them not back him up.
Last but not least, let's talk about the Celtics taking Jason Tatum, number 3 overall. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't see him going number 3, and I don't think anyone did except for the Boston Celtics front office. So you're a big college basketball man. Come on, lay it on me. What do you think?
Okay, so I hadn't realized this, and I was reading something the other day. Josh Jackson made a very good point. He said, when the Celtics had the number 1 pick, he said, I didn't find a reason to go work out with the Celtics because they made it very clear who they were going to pick up. They were obviously going to pick up Markelle Fultz so he could play aside Isaiah Thomas. But they traded about 2 or 3 days before the draft, and Josh Jackson didn't have enough time to go schedule a workout. So Danny Ainge, the GM, told everyone that he told everyone that they were really bummed to not get Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson just denied them. He even flied to see Josh Jackson and try to get him to come practice, but he was like, no, it was just a waste of time because they were going to get Markelle Fultz. But overall, I have no idea why they took Jason Tatum over Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson is
they've got pretty similar numbers. I mean,
they definitely have more similar numbers.
Very similar, in fact.
Jason Tatum is a better shooter, is what I'd say, and he doesn't have that great of a 3-point shooter, just like Josh Jackson.
Well, let's look at the numbers here. Jason Tatum out of Duke. It's the small forward. Last year he averaged
16.8 points per game.
16.8 points and 7.3 rebounds. And Josh Jackson averaged 7.4 rebounds and 16.3 points per game. So, unbelievably similar, in fact. But go on.
Definitely. So I think that since, like I've said, the NBA has come down to athleticism, I'd take Josh Jackson because I overall think that he is definitely a better defender, and he just jumps higher, and he just dunks the ball harder. He's just everything that comes with athleticism. He has. His basketball IQ is very good. The only problem he has is he's kind of like Fox. He doesn't really have his shooting form's kind of ugly, and he needs to work on his three-pointer, and he can sometimes get into foul trouble early. But he was averaging those numbers on the Kansas Jayhawks. That's pretty phenomenal. So I really don't know what the Celtics were thinking. I still probably would have taken him. I know he didn't work out with them, and that was kind of annoying. But if I was Danny Ainge, I would have been right after we made that trade for third pick. I would have been calling up Josh Jackson and been like, "Yo, can you come work out with us, please?" Because every mock draft had made it very clear that they thought Josh Jackson was going at number 3, and that was the surprise of the draft, that he went to the Suns.
All right. Well, I like Jason Tatum and Josh Jackson. I think they're pretty interchangeable. I think most people thought Josh Jackson, like yourself, was a little better, and I just think Jason Tatum, the Celtics have seen this, and I think everyone's gonna start seeing this. He has more upside. I think he has like I said, with Andrew Wiggins, I think Jason Tatum has a very high ceiling. I think Josh Jackson does too, but I think Tatum's is higher. And I think
the part I forgot to reflect on is that Jason Tatum is kind of known as a bit of a ball hog, and
that'll change quick. That's going to change quick in the NBA.
You can't have that when you're playing with Isaiah Thomas, a point guard who's a shooting guard.
The kid is 19 years old. Body. Trust me. The 19-year-old kid out of Duke isn't going to come in and start demanding the ball right away when he's playing alongside Isaiah.
Brad Stevens will figure it out.
Exactly. You got great coaching staff. This is the NBA we're talking about. He's not playing against college kids anymore. They're going to figure it out. So yeah, unfortunately we're coming to a close here for tonight, but we're running out of time. But thanks for tuning in. Next podcast, tune on in, because we're going to be talking Rookie of the Year for this upcoming year. Who's going to win it? Who's going to perform? Who's going to overachieve? Who's going to underachieve? You're not going to want to miss it. So I'm JT Aubrey. We're here with Philip Fauntleroy. Thanks for tuning in on Quality Ball. See you next time.